out his own man, huh? That's funny.
Aren't you glad to keep him?
Yeah.
Jeff.
Your son was in Jericho?
Well, I mean, so when he was 2, he had ice cream. When he was 3, he had ice cream. It was just a simple test. Pulled out the old cataract, and then cataract surgery, and it's not an issue whatsoever. In fact, he hardly wears glasses. Can't see very well from past the door. So it's gone. And made a deal with him contacts to try to. He's like, oh, I can see from the neighbors.
So when he hits the say 4.
But now he says he can't see the close. So he puts on reading glasses over his contacts.
Poor guy. Did he get that from his mom's side of the family?
Decided they didn't want to do it.
Yeah, well, they said there's really no way to know. They said it could have been like during the harvest development.
All right, I think we'll get started here. We'll call meeting to order, and we'll start with the invocation. Jeff?
Yes, let's pray. Father, we pause and thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity to serve the citizens of Warsaw. And thank you for the public servants that are here tonight, along with other citizens, to keep an eye on us. I ask that as we look at the agenda this evening, that we have sharp minds and humble hearts. It's in Christ's name that I pray. Amen.
And I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thanks, Jeff. Let's start with the approval of the minutes from the February 18th meeting. If there were 5 of you here. Those minutes are in board pack. Are there any additions or adjustments to those?
I would move to approve the minutes from February 18th.
All right,
I'll second.
all right. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right. To welcome all our visitors tonight, and I've got one in particular I'd like to welcome to the podium, the Pierceton Police Chief Tim Sammons. A few things to say. Chief?
Greetings, Mayor Tallmer and council members. My name is Tim Sammons, Police Chief for Pierceton Police Department. I graduated from Law Enforcement Academy in 1995 and started my career with the Kosciuszko County Sheriff's Office. I'm approaching 25 years as a police officer, and I still feel, in my opinion, that this is a noble profession. I was not invited tonight to speak to you by the Warsaw Police Department. Matter of fact, if I would have been invited, my words would be less significant. As a department head of a small police agency that are still experiencing large police agency crimes at times, it is important to find resources surrounding investigation, training, exchanging information, networking, mentoring, to name a few. I am here to express my appreciation to Police Chief Scott Whitaker and his staff. I am truly thankful for the support that me and my officers have received from the Warsaw Police Department over the years. From the front desk ladies, to the front back offices, to the monthly invites to the countywide detective meetings. Let me share with you, let me start with Angie Howard. She is always a phone call away to help with the report management system questions that I might have. Lieutenant Paul Heaton in the entire detective division, who never once has dismissed the opportunity to give me and my officers help over the phone or in person. Let me share just a quick story with you that occurred not too long ago. I was in the middle of an investigation dealing with a bank robbery in Pierceton. I needed help typing a request for a search warrant for a suspect's house. Again, smaller agencies do not deal with search warrant requests frequently, as do the city police. Mind you, it was at 10 o'clock at night when I first reached out to Detective Brad Keller, who took my phone call without hesitation and quickly helped me move forward with the search warrant request. Just so you know, this was at the most inconvenient time of the entire year, Christmas Eve. Detective Keller could have easily told me he was spending time with his family, but he didn't. He even experienced computer issues with his laptop and drove from his house to the police department so he could help me finish the request at 11:30 at night on Christmas Eve. Probably a more enjoyable time he would have spent at home with his family. Another recent opportunity provided to my agency came from Chief Deputy Brian Sherwin, Captain Joel Beam, and Sergeant Gordy Allen. The Pierceton Police Department has recently hired a full-time female police officer, Brooke Colby. The four of us discussed the opportunity of Officer Colby participating with a few training hours that involved your two new Warsaw Police female hires. You see, the training is very important, but not the big picture. The bigger picture was that it gave three new female police officers the opportunity to network, to get to know each other, bond, and train together, hopefully fostering a long law enforcement relationship between these three young women. I get it. At times, we do not hear the positive behind the scenes, the inner workings of police agencies in this county. We only hear about speculations, grumblings, and we immediately conclude that the surrounding police departments keep our distance from each other and share no resources amongst us. This absolutely could not be the farthest from the truth. If it was the truth, I could not be here tonight sharing with you what I have. Being a police officer is a tough job. We make decisions daily that are not popular for everyone. Sometimes only having a split second to react to a situation, life-threatening or not, that could take the sensible person hours to decide. My relationship with the Warsaw Police Department is only professional. I have no political agenda. I'm not here seeking a job. The city of Warsaw has a great police department, and I mean all the way from the office staff to the support staff and then to the police officers. And you should be proud to know what goes on behind the scenes. Lastly, I could have easily sent you a thank you card, but I felt it was important to come and face you in person. With that, thank you for allowing me time to visit with you.
All right. Chief, thank you. I appreciate your words of encouragement, and thank you for your honesty, and don't know what else to say, but it's always good to hear the good things, so thank you very much.
I
Any other
appreciate it.
comments? All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Be careful out there.
Thank you.
All right. All right, let's move into reports. Lynn, you've got the 2019 encumbered purchase orders report with some numbers on there, and I thought for the benefit of council, you could just explain exactly what this is. We need to take no action on it. Just want you to be aware of what this is.
That's correct. There's no action needed. I just need to explain this to you a little bit, that this is the monies from 2019 that was encumbered over to 2020 because of contracts or whatever, various reasons. And then in June or July, I'll come back with a reduction of this report for our budgeting session for 2020. I have to do this every year, and that's about it. If you have any questions.
No motion needed?
Nope.
Any questions? All right, thanks, Lynn. Okay, let's move into unfinished business. This is a second reading for an additional appropriation from redevelopment fund, resolution 2020-0202. Jeremy presented this at the last meeting, and it did pass for the benefit of you that were not here. Jeremy, any comments you want to make on the second and final reading?
Nothing's changed, but certainly I'll answer any questions for those of you who weren't here before. But in general, it was last year we had set aside money for the senior housing project. As we were putting that project together, it's taken a little bit longer than we anticipated. Being that we didn't spend the money last year, it went back into the fund, so I'm just trying to reappropriate that money so we can spend it this year on the project that we were supposed to spend it on last year.
And as we talked, this is the city's support of that project. Besides the infrastructure work that we've done, there was some cash involved, and the more the city participates, the higher the scoring on their grant application, and I think this is what we had promised that we would do.
Yes, this is the commitment that the redevelopment commission had made as part of the project submission to the state.
All right. Mike, any comments from redevelopment commission or Jeff?
Didn't come up today.
No. No, I think that was last year, that commitment was.
Well, it's all part of the bigger process. So one of the bids was that we didn't receive was the senior housing project. So we initiated the disposition and purchase of the property in February. March was the advertisement and the 30-day waiting period after the bid opening, which obviously we didn't have any bids. And then in April would be the time we would dispose of and purchase those properties. So it's a sequence.
Yeah.
So this money goes towards purchasing properties, basically? What you're
Yeah,
saying?
so part of our contribution to the project is we had purchased property from Habitat during the Stellar submission for the senior housing project. And then they coordinated the purchase of the property north of the Habitat property, which will all be combined. One of the ways we can contribute money to the project, which the redevelopment commission had agreed to do, was purchase the property. So they purchased some, what used to be the Dr. Rose properties. So we're going to purchase and dispose those properties back to them in conjunction with the Habitat properties we own, which will make up the total properties, including the gas station, which they've purchased, the former gas station.
So we had a pretty good discussion on it 2 weeks ago when you were gone. You answered a lot of questions.
Yeah, I watched it
Okay.
online. I just want, I was a little fuzzy on just exactly where the money was going.
Yeah, so the money will go towards their development of the property. I believe the ICDA submission was right around 9 million is what they're gonna spend. They're probably gonna spend a little bit more because there's some soil issues they have to deal with. But it'll probably be around 9 million in total project.
It's going to be a great project.
Yeah, 72 senior housing units right along our trail, connected to the parks. It'll give them walkability to downtown, so the connectivity in that area will be really good for them.
And as you explained last time, the improvements that we did on Market Street, there's value to that in that application as well.
Yep.
I would move to approve Resolution 2020-02-02.
And I would second that.
All right. Any more questions, further discussion?
Jeremy, since we just paved Market Street, can you have the big heavy equipment come in down the alley? I'm kidding.
Yeah, they'll probably come, I believe right now the construction drive is actually gonna be off of Center Street.
All right, good. Hate to tear up a brand-new street.
Most of the building will front Market Street. The parking will be fronted on Center Street. Because of the former gas station, there's some regulations and things like that. Because keep in mind, that is also a Brownsfield site. So that was another way they scored points, is we're remediating the Brownfield site on what used to be the former gas station. So a lot of good things happening in this project.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thanks, Jeremy. All right, let's move on to ordinance 2020-0301. This is the second reading. We had the public hearing at the last meeting. This reestablishes the CCD rate up to 5 cents. As we had discussed at the last meeting, that rate is reduced by formula that occurs when assessed value goes up. And it doesn't make sense to us that if we've got a broader footprint from annexation, that they're going to give us less money to take care of of our stormwater. But by the same token, we have the opportunity to raise that back up to a nickel, and it did pass for those of you not here at the last meeting. I believe it was 5-0. And now we're just asking on second reading if you would approve or act on the reestablishment of the CCD rate. Questions?
What is it currently, the rate?
4.1 point, yeah, 4.1 cents.
Yeah. Okay.
It dropped quick because of the very large increase in assessed value.
If there are no further questions, I'd make a motion to pass 2020-0301.
Second.
Who seconded that? Josh, good. All right, any further questions? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, thank you. Thanks, Josh. I didn't recognize that voice from,
Yeah, so timid.
very good.
And, you know, I think it's worth noting too, that people need to know that are out there, that this money is going to help with our storm water issues when we have big rain events, and everyone's gonna benefit. It's not just so we can spend more money on something. This money is gonna go to a very, very good conclusion.
Yeah, and in the most recent years, we've pretty much appropriated almost 100% of those funds towards stormwater projects. So, and we're not seeing any less of those.
No.
Okay, let's move to ordinance 2020-0302. This is item number 3. And this would be a similar reestablishment of the fire equipment fund rate. This is the second reading. The first reading, public hearing did pass at the last meeting, 5-0. And I believe this fund will be established at 3.3333 cents.
.033.
.0333.
Or 3.33 cents. Now that we've got the math down. And again, similar thing, the way the state, our legislators drew these statutes up, they're based on changes in the assessed value. That formula causes these rates to gradually decline over time. I think I'd mentioned at the last meeting that I know there was a move a year or two ago to try and eliminate some of that language so councils didn't have to go through this every couple of years. And it would be better if those funds were kept at their maximum. I think we figured out at the last meeting it was around 60,000 is what the increase would afford us with the CCD rate, and if I remember right, it was about 30,000 on the fire equipment replacement fund. So that's what we will gain by getting that rate back up to the maximum allowable.
37,000 for the fire territory.
37.
About, yeah, just a little under 37,000.
How much do we keep in a fund all the time for that, or try to keep in that fund? Get limits on it, or?
Well, we've got needs that occur, and with fire equipment, you know, typically you're looking at pretty large purchases that occur not every year. So we do build that up. I know we've got a truck we're looking at next, and like Chief Scott, I think probably the thing to do would be to look at the equipment replacement plan and look at what he's projected out. This will help meet those needs. So I can't answer. Do you know what's in there right now?
Well, at the end of January, it was $2.8 million. But then they encumbered. I think they had some encumbrances. $790,000. I think part of that's for the new fire truck. So that equipment is expensive. And since it's a cumulative fund, they can accumulate the funds until they are needed or whatever.
And the good thing about that is we're not borrowing money
Yep.
Right.
in order to buy what we know we need as they plan out
Exactly.
and project in the future, so.
And we're getting so much interest on it.
All right. Any other comments or questions?
I'd like to make the motion, since I'm on the fire territory board, to pass 2020-0302.
I'd second it.
All right. Any further discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, thank you. All right, let's move into new business. Our first item is a request to transfer funds, Resolution 2020-0301. This would move $10,000 from health insurance into professional services. which would allow us to contract with the JCAP program in Kosciuszko County for their mental health services. This is something that we've looked at, something that we feel is extremely important with resources that are being drained from our police department, from all law enforcement, from social services, as this addiction cycle continues to create a drain on the resources. And my feeling in talking with the chief and with sheriff is that this program is one of a model program in the state of Indiana that utilizes those incarcerated in our county jail and gives them opportunity for recovery. And I'm going to have Sheriff Dukes come up in just a moment and talk a little bit about success of the program. But I feel very strongly that I think this money is going to come back. We'll get a return on investment with I think they've had 4 classes graduate, and they're looking to ramp that up. And really, I think the biggest thing about this program is the involvement of our entire community. And again, I don't want to steal Chief's thunder, or Sheriff's thunder, but there's pretty significant number of local businesses and individuals that come in and work with these JCAP groups, classes, and the fact that the community's coming in to really try and help these folks recover is noticed by those individuals. They feel overwhelmed that this community cares about them that much to put a program on like that and try and get them out to where there's opportunity away from their addiction. And I'm a very strong proponent of this. I'll say that I'm the one that put this on the agenda, and I want to hear your thoughts on this after Sheriff comes up and gives us a discussion. And then, Chief, I'd like you to weigh in as well. So, Sheriff?
Well, good evening, and thank you for allowing me to stand up here and speak about JCAP. And I'll briefly kind of sum everything up here. But going back to January 1st of last year, I knew there needed to be some changes to JCAP. One of the first things that I did was I created an application process for the inmates. After the application was filled out, it was absolutely crucial to start a committee to review each application and talk about each case. Proud to say that the prosecutor's office, community corrections, probation, Courtney Jenkins, which is our JCAP coordinator, the jail commander, First Sergeant Shane Coney, and the sheriff, me. Sorry. Sorry, don't put that down. So that we're on the same committee and we have the right group of people. JCAP is designed for somebody who is getting out of our county jail and going back into society. It is not designed for the person going to prison. So it's crucial to have the right group. Looking at JCAP, the numbers, you are looking at somewhere between 10 and 13 to 14 people per group. Once we have a team, we have to remove those people from general population and separate them and put them in their own area, or block is what we call it in the jail. Once we have our team and they're separated, we focus on half of their time. It's a 4-month process, and it's anywhere from 7 to 9 hours a day of classes. And when you look at the classes, it's broke down to 50% of the time is teaching life skills. And Jerry, I'm talking about how to set up a checking account, how to set up a savings account, how to balance a checkbook. They don't know how to do that. They've never done this before. And parenting classes, crucial. Fitness class. And I was a little bit nervous on the fitness class, and I really talked, we really need a fitness class. And it is amazing, absolutely amazing what fitness does to someone who's incarcerated. Something that I'm excited on is new this time is art therapy. I've had a lot of comments on this class that is here. So we just started, this is our second week for our new JCAP team. It's a group of women this time. And art therapy starts tomorrow, matter of fact. So the girls are looking forward to that. Food service and the certifications that they receive. GED, obtaining a GED while incarcerated, crucial. So Monday, when I went in and spoke to the group, I was open and I was honest. And it's important for the sheriff. I'm in there a lot. Sometimes I sit and take the class with him, but I need to build that relationship. So talking to him, when it came time to questions, I instantly had a lady raise her hand and she said, "Sheriff, I can't wait for this 4 months to happen, but I'm nervous. Do not just open the door and just let me out and tell me never come back." And I promised this group that we will have stepping stones, and we're going to work with community organizations and get them pointed in the right direction. So I promised you guys that too. So 50% of the time is life skills, and the other 50% is mental health. Group counseling. And answering the questions. It's amazing how many questions they have is, why does my body do this? Why does my mind do this? Why do I make this decision? I want to get clean, but I can't. I don't know why I can't. And something that we realized in the first couple of graduation classes is we need more one-on-one time with the mental health counselors. And we have that now. And with the City of Warsaw's help, we'll have more. 68% success rate, ladies and gentlemen. 68%. That these people, once they get out of our jail, that they're staying clean. Over 25 local businesses participate. An amazing program. The reality of JCAP is there's a cost. It's expensive. The mental health services, they're so important, but there is a cost to that. But I firmly believe that we have to keep doing this, and the numbers back it up. So,
Questions?
Are there any similar programs in the state? Mayor said this is kind of a model program. Are there more of these?
Yeah, so, good question. There's currently 3 other sheriff's offices conducting JCAP in the state of Indiana.
3. We're number 4.
3. No, we are number 3.
Okay.
Me and 2 others. So I called them. So about 3 weeks ago, there was an article by Curtis Hill. Said there were 6, and I was surprised all of a sudden there were 6. So I reached out to the other ones, and they are thinking about starting a JCAP. They didn't know what to do. They're like, we don't know what to do. So the other 2 are I'm going to brag here a little bit. Mr. Clonders, we are leading the way.
Sounds like it.
Even the Attorney General's office, 2 graduate classes before, she came up to me and said, "We've never seen this. I wish Mr. Hill was here. We have never seen this in the state of Indiana, this much community involvement." She said, "Sheriff, you are leading the way. You should take a model, and you need to teach these other sheriff's offices." I got big plans here, folks. I really do. But we're not, before we can get to third base, I got to go to second and then get to third. We're going to do it right. And we're going to get there. But yeah, we're definitely in the right direction, and we are leading the way.
You know, I think it's a good time to let people know, Counselor Jack and I went to the meeting down at the pavilion, and it was, I was moved to tears, really. I mean, to hear these people's stories and the trials and tribulations and obstacles that they've had in their life, it really tugs at your heartstrings. It was really good program. You did a great job.
Thank you. There's a tremendous amount of help out there, and you know, Mr. Clonders, when you work with all the organizations, and there's a lot of rehab organizations out there, and we're coming together and and sharing information, and you know, this situation works for you better than it does our organization. Here's Dan's business card, you know, so, yeah, it's working.
Good. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else? Chief?
Just real quick, just want to reiterate the 10,000 be a donation from the city for the JCAP fund for the purpose of mental services, health treatment services, which is an essential component, as we've already established. But the mayor and I had the privilege or the opportunity to go into the jail and go to the block with from the JCAP program. I think it was last summer, and along with Courtney, the coordinator. And we had the opportunity to sit down there. They were in a round table, and we had the opportunity to sit down and hear the story of a lot of these individuals. So I think both of us, the mayor and I, when we left, we were touched. I hadn't been back in the blocks in years, and it was certainly a visit that I'm glad we both took. But we left there, you know, what can we do? Obviously, our officers are impacted, our community is impacted by this mental health issue, and with that being said, you know, this is post kind of budget preparation, so we didn't have time to prepare for it. So the reason that we're here asking to transfer money from the health services, or I'm sorry, the personal services to professional services, is obviously we have some extra funds in there, but that 10,000 is a start for the city of Warsaw to start assisting or helping with this program. I just want to reiterate that, you know, Courtney, the coordinator, she couldn't make it here tonight. She was at another meeting, but Courtney Jenkins, and that she has worked, she started out working in the program, donating her time, correct? Absolutely. So I don't know how many hours. She basically was just donating her services, and our community should be very grateful for that. I think she is now a full-time employee. Yep, full-time. But as a member of the community, I greatly appreciate her service, and I appreciate what the sheriff's doing and establishing a program that could set a standard for other jails. But our focus is right here in Kosciuszko County and trying to help our citizens. So.
Thank you very much. Questions?
During Citizens Police Academy, I was also able to go into the jail block and actually observe. And one thing that I noticed was that even those incarcerated that weren't accepted into the program, that was their goal. I mean, they were all talking about, I want to get good enough, I want to straighten up my act right now so that when my application comes around, I get a good reference and I can get into it. And then a couple of guys that had already been through and were out and still serving time, their attitude was totally different. I happen to have known them from before. Their attitude towards life and what they saw as their possibilities and their hope for the future and what they were going to be able to do when they left was totally different than anything that I'd ever seen in them.
Diane, you bring up a really good point, and Chief mentioned it as well. You know, going in and becoming a part of the program, even if it was for 15 minutes, you immerse yourself and you see what's involved. And they are so touched that you took the time to come in and care for them. And I walked out, and I talked to Sheriff and Chief and says, we got to do something. You know, this is working. We need to break the cycle of addiction. And that was pretty much the theme at our opioid meeting a couple months ago. And this is one way that we see it here working in this community. We need to, I would ask for your support of this program. But I would also ask you, when you get some time, call Sheriff Dukes and Chief and ask to go in and talk to the guys or gals and just spend 10, 15 minutes in there with them. And you'll come out and really understand how important it is. And that, unfortunately, this is just a beginning. There's so many others that don't have this opportunity. But I think, again, I would ask for your support.
But it is a beginning. Not
Absolutely.
unfortunately, it's the beginning. It is the beginning.
Right.
I think some of us attended one of the graduation ceremonies too, and I know it was really great to interface with some of the folks at the table I was at, some of the ones that are actually helping with the program, and really, really a great program, very, very touching.
You know, Mike referred to the opioid meeting that we had attended. And I got to say that it was very touching to see the level of commitment those graduates have made and the way they seem to have turned their lives around. You know, it's easy to throw money at something and think that you're doing good. But I think this is a program that is actually got something going. And I support it.
I will move to approve resolution 2020-03-01.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion or questions?
Do you run male and female consecutive classes, or is it you alternate between female and then 4 months later you have a male class?
So
Right now.
until last week, it was always just one class at a time because we only had one grant. We had enough funds to pay for the mental health services for one class. So we received 2 grants. So this is the first time that we've run two classes. So this is actually week 2 for the women. And here in 2 weeks, we sat down 2 days ago and we picked the men, the team there. So we're going to be running both programs at the same time. So that's going to be a first. We're very excited, very excited.
That reminds me of the DEER program, Counselor Gross. Once again, the community's leading the way,
Well,
showing the state how to do it right.
we're not taking deer here, but we
No,
are
you
investing.
know what I'm
and-
saying.
Yeah, I know, and again, I'm just sort of leading here. I greatly appreciate your efforts, and, you know, the chief from Pearston here tonight, and cooperation and community. Sometimes there's money, or more money that's needed, and I'm wishing the good. Okay, I appreciate your leadership with this, and thank the chief and the mayor also for looking this direction. Good.
Thank you.
All right, there's been a motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Gentlemen, thank you very much appreciate it.
And, Mr. Mayor, if I could have 20 more seconds, please.
Sure.
Thank you. So I had no idea that Chief Simmons was going to be here tonight, and Mr. Gross kind of hit on something, and I want to personally say thank you, okay, to each and every one of you guys. The sheriff's office, we would not have had the success we had in 2019 if it wasn't for the Warsaw Police Department. When my men needed backup, Warsaw was there. When my men needed assistance in the criminal division, Warsaw was there. I had a situation in the jail in 2019 that I needed manpower like now. And as a new sheriff, I didn't know what to do. But I needed manpower, and 5 Warsaw patrolmen were there within minutes, and we had the situation under control. If you take that one step further with Net 43 and the 142 people that were incarcerated and the 28 search warrants and the pounds and pounds of drugs that were taken off our streets. And now with JCAP. Thank you. I don't know how else to say it. Thank you. I can't do it. We can't do it without a team, and that's what we have. And again, I just personally want to thank you guys. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Sheriff. The only other comment I want to make is I want y'all to hopefully get involved in the program, but at least I want you to look and see all the different organizations that are involved, the banks, the churches, the counseling centers, the extension office, all the folks that go in and give their time. They're touched. You know, us throwing some money is okay, but, you know, these folks get out. They've got guidance, they've got direction, but they need the support of the community when they get out. And that's probably more important than what goes on in the jail. So, but again, I would certainly thank those businesses that are involved in this program, because Courtney's done a fantastic job. I wish she was here. She wouldn't want the accolades, but Courtney's put this thing on the map. So, all right, thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Okay, item number 2 under new business, ordinance 2020-0303. This is amending fire salary ordinance. We were given an opportunity to take on a accelerant sniffing dog, similar to the dog we had, how many years ago, Chief?
2004 to 2012.
So for 8 years, I think Bailey provided those services, fire investigation services, and we've been without an accelerant dog. We were given an opportunity a while ago. Chief and Joe Fretz came to me to talk about the opportunity to basically, the dog was essentially gifted to the city, but we have to do some training, and we're going to have to handle and take care of the dog. That dog's regimen is very, very specific, and we need to amend the salary ordinance to allow the handler small amount of time to take care of that dog, either at home, and I'm going to let Jennifer explain how this will work, but before we get this dog active, we have to have this in place. And Chief is here to answer questions about the dog and the program, and Jennifer's I'm going to have her first talk about what we're going to do, amending the salary ordinance to allow this to happen. So.
Right, it's similar to what we already do for the police department with their canine units, with their dogs that they have. We are just under FLSA, federal's the wage, to pay the individuals, recognize them for the dogs on the weekends. We have to pay them at least a half hour a day, and we just need to amend the salary ordinance in order to reflect that on Saturdays and Sundays. When Mike had Bailey, it was a contract through ATF. He actually took a half hour a day to care for the dog, to go home, still paid for 8 hours, wasn't physically working here for the city for that half hour, so there really wasn't a lot of wages exchanged. We anticipate that's going to be the same for Joe, for Fretz, for having the dog. There's going to be some times that he obviously will have to work over for his job, but for the most part, we just need to amend the salary ordinance to be able to pay him, compensate him to take care of that dog.
So the half hour can fit within his normal hours.
Correct.
But there are times it won't, and the weekends primarily being that. And as Jennifer mentioned, this is the same process that we use for our police dogs, our canines. So I just wanted to make sure you all understood this. I appreciate bringing this to the council because I was not aware that how this worked, and I've been educated myself. So that's what this is about. So before we hear from Chief, I want to just see if you all have any questions regarding this ordinance, and I think we'll hear it tonight, and then we'll probably bring it back after tonight. But let's see if you guys have any questions, first of all, on the ordinance itself and how the reimbursement will work. Okay. Chief, you want to talk a little bit about the program?
Just briefly, Jordan Detection Canine Company is in Greenfield, Indiana, and as the mayor said, this kind of came to us very quickly. Todd currently is training electronic detection canines. He has more orders than he has availability. Raven is a black lab and has been in service for a year with Todd, working fire scenes across central Indiana. With Todd's current job on the Anderson Fire Department and with his private business, he knew that he was not going to be able to work this canine to the efficiency that it needed to be. Todd and I had a working relationship back when we had Bailey. Some of you were on the council when we had Bailey. Bailey was retired in 2012 and then passed shortly thereafter. We never really looked back at the program because the program to continue this with ATF is a 7-week process through Front Royal, Virginia. It is a tool for the fire marshal in your community. we would have had to send Joe off to Front Royal for a consistent 7-week program to be able to receive the canine. We did look at the program, the cost and having him gone with the hours that we would have lost from Fire Marshal Fretz being gone and the details that he does here, was going to be a difficult program to do. Todd called me, came to me with a situation that I need a home, we need a department, I want to donate the dog. The dog's value is $11,000. The training that we're going to get for Joe is priceless. It's going to be free because Todd Jordan wants to see this canine being used in Indiana. Its primary goal will be the city of Warsaw, the Wayne Fire Township territory area, along with Kosciuszko County. He will not be committed like Bailey was through ATF throughout the whole state of Indiana. At a moment's notice, if you remember back then, I would have to leave and spend 3 to 4 days away, not being able to handle our community here, but with that commitment with the memorandum of agreement with ATF. This is local. It's the department's canine, the city's. It's 3 years old. It'll probably have 7, 8, 9 years of working relationship, and it is top notch. I've worked the dog since we've had it and working and training Joe here until he gets his certification with Todd Jordan. It is top notch. It is doing what it's trained to do.
So as Chief said, his dog Bailey was a contract with ATF, and ATF provided all of the resources, but also demanded that that dog go at a moment's notice. It was pretty much within the state.
Yes.
And my discussion with Joe and Chief was to keep that dog here in the county. If a situation arises, an extraordinary situation arises where that dog would be necessary, he'll have to get my permission to take that dog out of the county. So the dog is pretty much going to handle work within the city and with the county fire departments.
Correct.
And the agencies within the county. So that was the agreement that we had putting this together. So the ATF is not involved in this.
So the dog would be available to like our volunteer fire departments?
Yes, and that's
okay.
the primary goal is, the dog needs to see scenes. It's
I
a
could
food
say he
reward.
needs
It's not
things
play
to do,
reward
yeah.
like your law enforcement dogs are. So
Yeah.
that's the importance of the dogs with Joe. The only way Vader will, or not Vader, but Raven will eat is by finding the accelerants that he's trained to find. So it's a daily program.
Other questions? Okay.
Sounds like a deal.
So I think what I'd like is, did you have a question?
Yeah, well, yeah, so, just so I understand this, so in order for the dog to eat, he's got to perform an exercise.
Yes. That creates a daily,
Just like me, yeah.
2 to 3 times a day, working detail between the handler and the canine. So he gets about 3.5 cups of food a day. So he's worked 3 times minimum a day. We try to give our dogs a little bit of food in the morning because you don't know if you're going to get called out throughout the day or nighttime. But yeah, he's all supported that way by food reward only.
So what I would ask that you entertain this ordinance on first reading, and if you feel so moved, to approve it, we'll move on to a second reading. I would say we'll wait and give you a little chance to think about this, and unless, again, you decide you want to suspend the rules, but that would probably be my intention at this point. So,
Is the dog here? Where is the dog now?
We have the canine. It has been assigned to Joe because he is doing current training with Todd Jordan. So yes, the dog is here. Okay, it has been working with Joe, not on scenes. He can't, the dog's certified, we have to get Joe Fretz certified.
Does he
The
get
dog
put him
knows
on
what
a
it-
food reward?
Yeah.
Does he get 3 cups a day too?
So, yeah, we won't let Joe eat, but 3 times a day. So yes, we do have the canine. It is being housed at his home. It's in his vehicle, and it's at the fire station because we are training him inside the station and some properties around town.
I'd move to approve 2020-03-03.
all right.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's unanimous.
You know, since the dog is here, I would request that we suspend the rules. I'd make a motion to suspend the rules and take another vote.
So is there a second, to suspend the rules?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, so we'll entertain the ordinance 2020-0303 on second reading.
Some- I'll second.
Jerry and Mr. Clondaris, is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, you're on.
Thank you, thank you. I can tell you that the dog was down with us at the Safety and Health Conference this past week, and he was a hit. Everyone loved the dog.
Poor Mr. Fratz.
All right, I'm still not sure I understand that food and reward type deal. But that's okay, I'm not sniffing
I might be
gasoline either, so.
We could explain it to Jill and get you set up.
All right, great, thank you. Thanks, Chief, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, item number 3 is a CF1 compliance form. Jeremy will present for Freedom Oil.
It is that time of year again. This is the first CF1 form we've received to date. Freedom Oil was done back in 2017. It was based on real property improvements, investment made in real property along Argonne Road. 1.8 million was spent. This is the third year of their abatement. And Mr. Cobb is here to answer any questions, but I would recommend the continuation as they did spend. This isn't an employee type abatement. It's purely based on the amount of money that was spent.
Are there questions?
I don't know, sure seems like that time's all went zip, 3 years.
It goes quickly.
Greg, do you think that time's gone that fast?
Yeah.
Good, good. All right, any questions of Jeremy or Mr. Cobb?
I just want to say thank you for the
Yes.
investment in our community and for helping start the revitalization of that area.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
I'd make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. Thanks, Greg. Jeremy, thank you. Last item, Resolution 2020-0302. This is a disposition of some property, and I'll let Brian, not land, not real estate, but
We're
equipment.
looking to sell a camera, an old, or 2005 camera truck to the city of, is it a city or town? Of Rochester, city of Rochester. We're replacing that equipment this year. The trade-in, the trade-in, we would maybe get at best half of that. We kind of put the word out, R&R Visual and Rapid View, same company out of Rochester, is kind of working with some of their different customers, mentioned it to the city of Rochester, and they were interested in it, so they reached out to us. And the price came, we talked to Doheny, who we're looking at the new equipment with, and Rapid View, and they said if we put it on, there's a Gov auction site, I'm not super familiar with it, we'd probably get 75 to maybe 100, 125 at the very most, depending on how many bidders you get. And so this meets the requirements to get rid of city property. You can have auctions, but if you sell it to another municipality, we can do resolutions between the two communities and sell it to them. So I feel it's a fair price, and we're helping them out as well. So
Questions?
Have they committed to buy this thing?
yes, they won it yesterday. I told them they're going to find, and I think the mayor passed it along also, it's going to be the most expensive equipment they ever bought, and not from this purchase, but what they're going to find in the ground. So.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, he was burning my phone up. They were very, very interested in it. A lot of communities contract with companies to do this, and it's not cheap. Obviously, the amount of work we're doing, we did, what, 80,000 feet last year?
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot. And obviously, we're using the heck out of ours to the point where we're getting a new one. But this one will serve City of Rochester well, and they were very excited to get it. And we didn't budge off our price, so despite a few phone calls.
Is there any training that goes along with it, or how?
Rochester.
I guess I'm looking out for Rochester right now.
We are, yeah, we have put the offer out there that we would help show them how to use this equipment. The advantage they have also is the equipment is built right there in Rochester. That's one of the reasons why we use it, because it's right local to get it worked on and serviced. So they have that opportunity for training as well. One of the reasons we want to get new equipment is this truck and our new truck, the equipment's not interchangeable. We can't run our new cameras on this old equipment. So this new truck, the two trucks now will be able to run all the cameras we have. Our push camera that we're getting rid of, it's a very basic push camera. You push it down there and we can't record any of the videos, so we're not able to record those small lines that we're getting into. The new one will have a pan tilt feature so we can look at some of the defects better, and we'll be able to record those videos as well, so we can start or finish our recording of the real small diameter pipes.
I had an opportunity to sit with a couple of you guys as they were mapping or recording the new sewage line that went in front of the old Biomet building.
Okay.
Is that the same one that we're?
I don't know which truck was out there that day, but the older truck is the one we're replacing.
Okay, so we got two, and this is the older one. Okay.
Any other questions? All right, so with this resolution, then, that will allow us to exchange our equipment for $75,000.
$75,000.
All right, will that go to the Board of Works, or is that all done right through here?
It's all done with the resolution here, and it is contingent upon Rochester passing a nearly identical resolution, but we've been in contact with their clerk treasurer.
Yeah, their next meeting's the 12th, and that's when they'll discuss it. They've already discussed it their last meeting, and they're all for it, but they just didn't have the resolution.
They approved, my understanding from their clerk, the purchase. They just didn't have the resolution because we hadn't done ours yet. So they have to do one that's nearly identical. And now that we've done ours, offering to sell it to them, they can do one agreeing to buy it.
All right.
Yeah, my understanding was their Board of Works approved the purchase, but the city hasn't done, the council hasn't done the resolution to complete the purchase, so.
That's correct, Brian. Yeah.
All right, so what do you think?
I move to approve Resolution 2020-0302.
I'll second that.
All right, any further questions or discussion? As is, right?
Yes, as is.
No
All-
refunds.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thanks, Brian, appreciate it. Okay, any other matters to come before the council? Any items carried forward? Visitors, questions, or comments? I would just remind you all, the State of the City is the 12th, next Thursday. It'll be down at the Center Lake Pavilion. The address actually starts at 12:30. The Warsaw Chamber and WCDC, they're having their annual meeting, and they're providing a luncheon if you purchase a ticket through them. But that starts at 11:30, but to come to the address is free and open to the public, and I just want to make sure everybody understands that. And you're all welcome to come at 12:30 to listen to or map out a lot of what we discussed at our strategic planning session and throw some things out. So.
Speaking of which, have you heard back from?
Yeah, we got, I wouldn't even call it a draft, it was just, they wanted us to weigh in on some of the exercises and how we wanted to move things under, where we wanted some certain things under certain categories. So they're working right now on putting together a draft that we want to get out soon. But we'll wait to hear. Jeremy, what'd they say, a few weeks that might be ready? So, yeah, and you'll all be the first to know, obviously, when that comes out, so.
You say that's at the pavilion?
Yes, sir.
You got rides down there, do you?
Do I have rides down there?
Can I get a ride down there?
Ride from where? You could roll down the hill from your house, Jerry. Sure, I'll send somebody up. All right. Well, I think it's time to go, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all. Appreciate it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. Thank you. That's really funny.